both incidentally had pretty good seasons last year. But you can see that content is definitely personalized for me, so I'm more apt to click through and read these emails and go back, in this case, to the ESPN site. And then one of my favorites, I think TripAdvisor does a really good job of this segmentation and personalization. And I'm kind of using those terms interchangeably in some ways because I do think, I mean, there's obviously different ways you can segment your list, but I really think of segmentation really as more of this personalized content. But what TripAdvisor does a lot of times is they tell me what my friends are doing. So, you know, they're using that familiarity. I see the face of Brad Matthews, you know, that angry face in the center there, and you know, I'm reminded of our time together at Bronto. And I'm more likely to engage with this email because of that familiarity and seeing what my friends are doing.
Yeah, just one thing on the segmentation to bring texting back into this. You can use SMS to segment your email list. So to give you an example, sticking with the museum has one call to action in their museum that says text, I forget the keyword, text museum to 12345. So that's targeting the parents, maybe who are there with their kids, or the museum boss, the people who are in the museum. They use a different keyword when they have a gala or they have an event for their fundraisers and their donors, so maybe it's text donor to the number. So those two keywords are funneling into separate email lists. So you can actually, based on whether it's an event or a piece of media that you're running, you can segment your email list that way. So it's really easy to do. So
yeah, I think that's a really good point, I mean, of tying the two channels back together again, because you know, that's almost like 201 stuff. You know, just collecting the email address is one thing, but then actually doing something with it based on. I mean, I guess it's the same idea of, you know, what channel. You know, if you have several different opt-in forms on your site, based on where somebody comes in from your site, they might get a different onboarding, or at least a first email. So same concept there. I really like that idea.
Yeah, if you run an ad about product A, and you have them text one keyword in, because they're interested in that product. If you run a different ad on product B, use a different keyword, have them text in and put them in a different list. There's no reason to put everybody together in one if it's very easy to split them up from the start.
So the last section I want to cover here is the idea of converting subscribers into customers. And this could really be an entire presentation in and of itself, but we wanted to just wrap up this section by talking about really, you know, the idea that I think where most people are doing email marketing, whether you're, I mean, there's some call to action, there's some end game. I know there's certainly people who just send out emails to their list to keep in touch and to get them to engage with you and have a conversation. But to me, it's all about show me the money. And the money could be something like whatever that conversion is for you. I mean, if you're in B2C, it could be buying something. In B2B, it could be getting a new customer, getting somebody to sign up for a webinar. But ultimately, it's show me the money. And so the key really is taking this, you know, opt-in form or, you know, text to opt-in, and how do you turn that sign up into the Hamiltons, or the Benjamins in this case. I'm thinking Hamiltons is the 10, right? So the idea is how do you take those, and this is a very, very oversimplified way to do it, but again, this could be a whole presentation, and we're trying to do this in 31 minutes. So this is what I would recommend doing for actually converting people. If you go to the next slide here, it's just, you think of it like a funnel. I mean, it does all start with that opt-in, and the opt-in is so important because just like anything else, if you don't have an email address, it's really hard to do anything else with your list. I mean, you have to be constantly growing your list, and we've given some examples today about how to do it with SMS, but certainly there's a lot of other ways to grow your list. And then this idea that Lauren was sharing about a welcome series or an onboarding program to really get people more engaged with your email as opposed to just all of a sudden slapping them into your main list and just hoping that they know what the heck's going on. Instead, inviting them in. And then you can really, from there, you can really start to do targeted emails and one-off emails. And based on where somebody clicks, you can send them a different offer and really customize and target every single email communication you're sending out to that specific user. And that's when you can start to do these special offers that ultimately drive people down the funnel to purchase something. And again, that purchase could be a material something, or it could be signing up for a webinar, downloading an ebook, whatever your main call to action is.
All right. So let's wrap it all up. I think we've got 3 more slides here. People always ask, where do we start first? And I'll go back to an earlier slide. You got to think about these 3 areas and what you're doing there, and one of those, or maybe all of those, that's your opportunity to give this a shot. At events, no more clipboards, no more pens and papers. Use the phones that everyone has in their pocket to get them involved. At traditional media, try not driving them to your website or putting social icons at the bottom of your ad. Try giving them something they can do right now while they're sitting on the couch or sitting in the doctor's waiting room. Get out the phone, text in. And foot traffic. If they're standing there at line like DJ was at Red Mango, rather than texting his friends the whole time, he was able to text Red Mango and get involved with them. So use those eyeballs and that attention that you have when they're on site and get them to communicate with you via text messaging and then get their email address as well. And something we didn't really get into a lot here, but I just want to mention, I talked earlier about how when you're doing this, you're going to end up at the end with a mobile phone number and an email for someone, and you can use those 2 channels together. SMS is really good for last-minute reminders, alerts, come out tonight, don't forget tomorrow, that kind of stuff, because it's very immediate. And you can use their email address for the longer-term, more content. Hey, we're planning this event next month. Here's a schedule, stuff that's a ways away from what you want them to do, or you need to provide more than just 160 characters. So the 2 channels work really well together there. And now you have 2 touch points instead of 1. DJ is going to talk about a really cool book you wrote.
Yeah, Justin, maybe put this in. So I wrote a book with Jason Falls called The Rebel's Guide to Email Marketing. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this slide, but if you're interested, that's the front cover on the right. That's the back cover on the left. It's 255 pages of us talking about how to grow your list, how to break some of the quote-unquote rules of email marketing, some of the things that we talked about in this presentation, and then ultimately how to be successful doing all those things. So you could pre-order the book, and that would make me happy and Jason happy, and probably my mom as well.
So when you run this campaign, you've gathered all these new emails from your events and media. Now you know what to do. You can be an even better email marketer than before.
Exactly.
Awesome.
So I think as we're wrapping up here, we actually did a pretty good job there, Justin, of getting almost 31 minutes on the nose.
Yeah, how about that?
So I know we've got a bunch of questions that people submitted before. I see a couple questions coming in on Twitter as well, and I don't know if you see any in the chat there too, Jason or Justin. But let's start drilling into some of them. Certainly, again, if you have questions you want to ask on Twitter, just make sure you use that hashtag SMS email, and you can ask them in the chat box there as well.
Yeah, so we've got a couple questions that came in during registration. A common theme was asked a few times is, how do we do this without spamming, or how do we get the phone numbers? And so I hope it's clear after going through this that we're only talking about opt-in marketing here. This is something that people are signing up for. They're texting in, they're raising their hand and saying, I want to be a part of this. By no means do either one of us condone spamming, where buying lists or scraping phone numbers or emails. That's not what we're talking about at all. So that answered a few concerns about how you get the phone numbers. Another good one here about how to involve younger adults versus high school or teenagers in a campaign. And at this point, everybody's text messaging, so you don't really have to worry about it unless you're after a much older crowd. I mean, maybe seniors, you'll get a lower adoption rate with text messaging. But if you're targeting anyone under 50 or 60, it's really up to the campaign, which will determine if they get involved. So if the incentive makes sense for them, they'll get out their phone and they'll text you just like they text their daughter or granddaughter. So it's really going to come down to the incentive about how you build that list and get that campaign going. I've got another one that came in about how effective is a marketing system that's based on a demographic of tech-savvy smartphone users. I always like to talk about text messaging actually not being necessarily a tech-savvy technology. So, you will have somebody who can text their grandson, but maybe doesn't have a smartphone. So texting works on just about any phone out there. These days, about 98% or 99% of the phones that are on the market, and about 75% of cell phone users know how to text message. So you're not after the smartphone audience with this. You're after somebody who can send one text message or two text messages, one with their email, and get involved. They don't have to download an app. They don't have to scan codes. It appeals to a much wider audience. Got another question about getting more information from them or more profile info after they opt in. And I think I'd really put that on the email. You can ask other information via text messages. So we have some clients who maybe ask for a zip code in email, but you obviously don't want to have somebody putting in 16 different pieces of information via text message. So once you get on beyond two or three pieces of information, just send them that welcome email and say, hey, complete your profile and we'll give you a coupon, or complete your profile if you really believe strongly in getting involved in this cause. And that's where you ask them to give other information, because now they're at their computer. They can enter it quickly. It's a lot easier for them that way. What else we got, TJ? You got anything from Twitter?
Yes, I'm just looking here. Just do a quick refresh. I don't see any direct questions on Twitter. I think a lot of people are just retweeting or using your Twitterrific stuff too. So yeah, I think we're good on questions. And now, I just want to stress too, as a reminder, we're certainly going to post this on SlideShare. We're going to, Justin's recorded it. We're going to post on our blogs, and you'll get an email alerting you about that. All those good things, all the different ways that we can repurpose and reimagine this content, we will, so you have it. And I guess I just want to stress too, I think for some reason SMS still does not get enough play. So I look at that as an opportunity for you as a marketer to do something really unique with this channel and test out a couple things and see what works best for your audience.
Absolutely. Yeah, don't wait for your competition to do it. Give it a shot. Give it a try before them.
Cool. All right, well, thanks, Justin, for doing this, and thanks everyone else for tuning in today. Hopefully the information was valuable to you, and we'll see you on the next webinar or live event, or on Twitter and Facebook or somewhere like that too.
Absolutely. Thanks everybody for coming. Really appreciate it. Take care.
All right. Thanks, Justin.
Bye.